Hello. If you see my dog here, or me reaching my hand down for her, it's because she's a little nervous about the thunderstorm that's happening right now. But I do have to make this video while I have the energy to do it. So I've been thinking about the word lazy. If you are one of those people who laughs at, scoffs at, condescends, or mocks products for being lazy, then you, more often than not, are neglecting to consider accessibility. As a society, people hate lazy so passionately, I don't fully understand it. I've seen people get more angry about people they assume are being lazy than people who have committed literal horrible acts of violence. Is lazy really the worst thing a person can be? In my early 20s, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome started to really impact my health, my pain levels, and my abilities. And someone I care about very much, and who cares about me, ultimately, had a hard time accepting what was happening. So she would call me lazy for being in bed all day, or not maintaining the cleanliness of my spaces, or being able to keep up with my responsibilities. This was hurtful for me as someone who was losing so many parts of my life and my abilities. I was and am in a state of mourning. A body and a life that I once knew. I was and am constantly learning what other parts of my body, what other abilities I'm losing, and how I can attempt to adapt. My room is not messy because I'm lazy. My room is messy because my joints in my feet and ankles and knees are no longer supporting me without tremendous pain. My fingers and my shoulders, they risk dislocation when I try to hang things high up in my closet. As an able-bodied person, you don't really consider how heavy a sweater on a hanger can be. Standing too long to clean the high spaces makes me dizzy, makes my heart race, and can cause me to faint. The dust that lifts when cleaning can also cause an allergic reaction. Lazy is used against disabled young people who use the disabled seating on the bus. People assume young means able. You're young, you're strong, you have energy. These seats are not for you, but there are so many disabilities that will not be apparent to you. There are young people with chronic pain, with heart conditions, with lung conditions, and they need that seat. They need that parking space. The absence of a mobility aid does not mean able-bodied. Even wheelchairs. People see ambulatory wheelchair users like myself that can get up and walk around a little and think I bought this really expensive power chair just to be lazy. I've seen people get angry the most, specifically at theme parks. And to repeat myself for the millionth time, even if someone walks or runs out of their wheelchair, doesn't mean they are not disabled. It means they cannot be mobile or standing upright for long periods because it's too painful, or their heart becomes irregular, or their lungs cannot handle the distance, etc. But some people just want to skip the lines. Listen, even if you would bet your life that someone is faking their need of a wheelchair, it's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk that you're harassing a person who fought with all their might just for the confidence to be in public with their wheelchair, which is something that happens a lot. So leave it alone. Funny how this intense aggression and anger about laziness so easily turns into a conversation about people harassing people with invisible disabilities. Almost like the two are related. The word lazy is used against products that make certain activities accessible to people who would be unable to perform them otherwise. This includes things like pre-cut foods like avocados and oranges. Google it if you don't believe me. It was quite the scandal and made friggin' headlines. You know what? In the name of accessibility, I'm gonna go ahead and get those links and I'm gonna put them in the description. There was this juice ad I saw once, actually. After Backlash, they did edit out the more ableist aspects from it, so I appreciate that. But I'd still like to unpack where they went wrong and what we can all learn from it. So this was a commercial for powdered green juice. Green juice, if you don't know what that is one where you would typically have to purchase and handle several pieces of fruit and vegetables, cut them up, and then put them through a juicer to make a very nutritional beverage. For this kind of product, I actually anticipated an audience response filled with, "Oh my god, that's so lazy! Just do the work yourself! Just handle all the fruits and cut them and go to the market and do it yourself!" A similar response that they have had for products like pre-cut oranges and avocados, etc. Links in the description. The problem with that is, when people become so furious about these products that make something easier for people, they get so angry about the idea of someone being too lazy to do something. They are not taking the time to consider that this is, in fact, something that makes this activity, say it with me, accessible to someone who may not be able to do it independently. I'm a good example of that. Because of my disabilities, I quite often have trouble with my hands. They can be in a lot of pain. The joints in my hands, my fingers, and my wrists are very lax and do not withstand well to pressure, which makes cutting foods very difficult. And they can also cramp up and they can easily get injured. So stuff like pre-cut food is amazing for me, and allows me to prepare myself a healthy meal independently, on my own, without the help of somebody else. And this powder thing would actually benefit me from having to do the physical labor of preparing a green juice on my own or collecting all the food items at the market. It would have been great. So I'm the target market, actually. But instead of considering the fact that a person and people like me exist, This commercial went two very strange directions. First, they paint the typical person who juices as hyper and overeager, and honestly, in general, I'm exhausted with shaming people in order to get them to buy things. It's so weird to me. It's an outdated marketing tactic. Get it out of here. But then we are introduced to a health unconscious junk food junkie. Okay. In contrast to the hyper, over-the-top, healthy woman, which is over-the-top because she works out and juices. Oh my god, so over-the-top. The health unconscious junk food junkie is a powerchair user with a giant jug of cheesy puffs and holding a large soft drink. Way to perpetuate that powerchair users are just lazy. Particularly young women powerchair users. Because, God forbid, I use my powerchair and maybe have some junk food in my hand or a drink at the same time. My bad. Assumed laziness of disabled people makes me feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. I'm one of the most driven and determined people I know. I push myself beyond my limits all the time, every day. Every day that I live is survival. My sheer will to get things done is some kind of adrenaline magic that pushes against my body's limitations until I just can't anymore. But this is a fight that no one sees. They just see me using my wheelchair, or see me passed out in my bed, or see me lying in bed and reading off of my phone, and assume laziness. And all the hard work I do, all the pain, all the effort, all the fighting and pushing goes completely unnoticed. It's the most bizarre social cultural gaslighting I think I've ever experienced. Because these messages come from every direction. That no matter how hard we push ourselves, as long as we are disabled, as long as there are things we cannot do, we have not done enough. We are not enough. It's hard not to feel hopeless and worthless in the face of that. That commercial participated in reinforcing an ableist concept that feels like forever years old. That tools used to make life easier for people are not for disabled people. Oh no, they are for lazy people. And lazy people are not worthy of respect. People use their burning hatred for laziness as a veil over their ableism. It's such a sneaky and powerful form of gaslighting, because when you are a disabled person who pushes yourself beyond your limits all the time, who struggles and fights for every breath you get, and then the world turns to you and points their fingers and tells you that your farthest point, the limit that you have reached, and sometimes beyond what you should have done, that limit wasn't far enough. Or they tell you that you didn't even try. And on top of that, make furious campaigns to take away the things that help you. Like pre-cut foods at the market so you can feed yourself independently. I don't know. If you're watching this and you get it because you've been called lazy because of your disabilities, you're not. I believe you. I know you're trying your best. For anyone else watching, I hope you'll consider the unconscious bias you might have about laziness and pause to consider the assumptions you're making about someone when you call them that or think that they're lazy. Also, maybe not get so angry next time you come across a product that you are too privileged to understand how and who this could be helpful for. I will see you eventually. Bye.